Welcome back to MeximCalc. My name is Kyle, and today we are going to create an app that plots a sinusoidal function. To get started, make sure you are signed in and let's navigate to the Create page. In the Create page, we offer free and premium templates. Since we just want to learn, let's start off with a new blank app. Before getting started in editing the app, let's view an example of the app we want to create. Here I have an example of a simple sinusoidal plotting. We want to plot the function y equals a sine bx and take in inputs a and b. Now that we know what our app wants to look like, let's go back and start editing. In MeximCalc, editing an app is composed of 6 steps. We start off on step 1, info. We must first give it a name, sinusoidal plotting. We can give it a small description, plot a simple sinusoidal function. A category, for now I will do tutorial, you can choose whatever you want. And similarly for tags, I will pick tutorial. You can also add your own images and feel free to customize this as much as you want. For now, I will leave it with the default images. Next is step 2, inputs. We will delete this input group for now and start from scratch. Here we want to display the inputs A and B that we need for our sinusoidal function. Let's start off by creating an input group and naming it sinusoidal parameters. Click Apply to save changes. We can now add our inputs to the group. We will first drag a rich text over to give a bit of info on the sinusoidal function. Plot a sine function in the form y is equal to a sine bx. We can then drag and drop our 2 inputs a and b, which will be numbered inputs. So that's 1. And this is the second one. We will make them larger. To edit the inputs, click the blue pencil icon here. Here you can edit the parameters of an input. If you are stuck on editing any of the parameters, use the helpful question mark icon, which will give info on the parameter and can also provide links to our documentation. In this case, the name will be the name of the input that we use to reference it in the Python code. We will give it a label of A. Units can leave empty and a default value of 5. Once you are happy with editing an input, click Apply Changes to save the changes. We will do the same thing with input B and give it a default value of 5. Before moving on to step 3, which is the code, we will make sure that the mobile layout is correct. In this case, we will make the inputs A and B a bit wider so that they fit better on the screen. Now that we are done editing the layout, we can go to step 3, which is the code. In this case, we want to get inputs A and B and then create a sinusoidal function. To do so, we will get input A and B. If you click the input variables button here, you can copy the reference to the input variables that we created in step 2. We will copy A, and we will do the same thing for B. Now that we have our inputs A and B, it is time to generate the sinusoidal x values. To do so, we will import a library called NumPy. We'll just leave a quick comment here, generate x values. There's a function with NumPy where you can create evenly spaced values within an interval. we will use the interval 0 to 2 pi with a step size of 0.1. We will then create the y values from the x values. As we know, y equals a times sine of bx. Once we generated the x and y values, it is time to create the plot. To do so, we will import matplotlib. We can then create the plot with the x and y values. And we will give it just a label. Once we create the plot, we will generate some legends and titles for the plot, just so it looks a bit better. For the title, generate titles labels. For the title, we will display the equation. In this case, this is a times sine of b times x. We will use Python fstring, and it will input the a and b values up here into the string. We will then set the title of the plot to this equation, and we will set the x and y labels appropriately. Now that we created our plot, we want to be able to display it as an output. To do so, MeximCalc has our very own library. We can import MeximCalc. In MeximCalc, we have a lot of handy functions. One such function, which can be found in our documentation, is printplot. This converts a matplotlib.pyplot into an HTML image tag and can also provide us a download link. To use it, it returns an image and a download link, and we can simply do printplot and pass in the plot object. We will also set download to equal to true so that we get the download link. If you ever need any help using our MeximCalc library, do not hesitate to look at the documentation. The link will be pasted in the description below. Finally, we will return the values that we want to output. In this case, we want to return the plot, which is the image. We can also return the equation, as well as the download link. Finally, before moving on to step 4, let us use the debug feature to make sure that we are correctly returning the values. As you can see, 3 items are returned in our dictionary: a plot, which is an HTML image string, an equation, which is just our string, and a download link for the HTML image. Now that we can see that our code is working correctly, let's move on to step 4, which is the output. If you ever need any help with the output editor, simply click this question mark link and it will provide some help as well as links to documentation. In this case, we simply want to output a couple things. Let us make a title called sineplot, and below it we will output the plot. First, let's show the equation, and if you use this blue outputs button, you can copy the output variables that were returned in the Python code. Let's copy the equation. We can paste it here. Below this, let's output the plot. So copy the plot and paste it. And we can also output the download link. This is just a simple way to output a couple variables. The fifth step is documentation. For now, we can just leave this empty. But if you are creating more complex apps, make sure to leave some documentation to help the users. Finally, we move on to step 6, which is the preview. In this step, we can run the app to see that it works correctly. Let's leave A as 5 and B as 5 and press submit. As you can see, we output the equation, we output the sinusoidal function as an image, and you can also download the plot by clicking this link. Now that we are done our app creation, we can publish it to MaximCalc. Scroll down and click the Publish button. Your app is now published to MaximCalc. Congratulations. You can run it as many times as you want, and you can also share it with your family and friends. We are now done with creating an app that plots a simple sinusoidal function. This is just a small part of all the functionality that MaximCalc can offer you. Thank you very much for taking the time to learn with us, and I wish you all the best with MaximCalc.